Hello again, Incente here, and this is the next installment in the Beginner Go series. I wanted to do this for a while and just never found the time, so here we go. I held off on doing this one because it was the hardest one to explain. Because life and death is something that you really just need to practice to get good at. You need to, go on, get Sumego Pro, get the app on your phone, just do some life and death problems, go online, do some life and death problems, and just like figure out what works and what doesn't. There's some tricks though that you learn, and I'm hoping that this will give you a little introduction so you can figure out if you're in a position and you're playing a game and you don't know how you should live or not, or how you should kill something, or if something can be killed. This might give you some ideas on where to start looking. But I have to emphasize the number one way to get better at this is to practice. There's no like crazy trick that will make you amazing other than practice. With that in mind, I think you should still get a lot from this video, and I can't wait to show you some stuff. So let's get started. Okay, we know that in life and death, in order for a stone to live, he needs two eyes, right? He needs, a completely enclosed space here. Oops, that was Skype. And a completely enclosed space here. If you want to kill something, your idea is to try to first surround it, right? That's the first thing. If it's not surrounded, it can escape and run to its friends, and it'll very unlikely to die. So the first thing that white would need to do is surround a group of stones. Then what white needs to do is to figure out how to poke out its eyes, how to create false eyes, how to throw the stone in so it can make two eyes, and that involves something called dead shapes. Dead shapes are empty spaces that you can make your opponent's stones surround that are dead, meaning you can't make two eyes from them. I'll show you a quick example because it's kind of abstract. If white wants to kill this, white to kill, can you find the move that kills it? We'll say it's white's move. The answer is, here's the move that kills that group, because we can see that this is in the critical point of this shape. By critical point, I mean, if you look at where it's around it, no matter what black does, he can't make two eyes. The only way he could make two eyes is if he was able to go here and here and here at the same time. But black can't make three moves in a row, unfortunately. So if he tries to do that, white simply is like, okay, I will pop out the other eye. And we can see that black gets captured. And even if, you think, well, what if black decides to not take, right? What if black decides to just leave it? Does he still get captured? Yeah, because if black does this and, black just doesn't do anything, white can keep playing. Black can just, if he keeps not doing anything, this is Atari, right? Black takes, and now white, notice, this is a group of three, which means that if white does something else, that's alive now. But if white plays here, dead again. Black tries to take, and he can't, because white can capture the entire thing. So that is the first dead shape I want to show you guys. So this group right here is called the bulky 5 shape. That's its name, and that is a dead shape. If you can make your opponent make something like this and you have a move, pop a stone right here, and you've got it. It's right there, and that's all you need to kill that group. You might ask, it's kind of a uncommon shape to make, right? Like, what are the odds your opponent is going to make that shape? Well, to that, I have an answer. So let's say that we have this position. This came from the fact that white decided to invade here. And so black is trying to simply surround, get power on the rest of the board, and go on his merry way. And now let's say white decides to play somewhere else. The question is, can black kill this group? Well, if white plays wrong, black definitely can kill this group. One of the first lessons you need to learn about life and death is, what moves to start looking for. I showed you the bulky 5 shape and the critical point for that move. But another thing that is very key in killing is called the hane. And we all know what the hane is, right? It's curling around a stone in one direction or the other. And so this would be a hane. And there's an old proverb that says there's death in the hane, which is not something that they just say randomly. So let's say black hanes, white defends. Black hanes to the other side, white defends. This looks very close to that bulky 5 shape that I was showing you, right? So what if black pops a stone right in here? What can white do? Well, there's really only 2 ways for white to make eyes, right? White needs to go here, black needs to not play, and white needs to go here. Now you've got 2 eyes. But, unfortunately, white doesn't get 2 moves in a row. So black can push up and pop out that eye. Now you might be asking, well, why can't white just take? I mean, sure, but it doesn't do anything because that's a false eye, right? That is false because black can take back. And now you might be like, well, can't white set a co-op? Maybe if white plays some forcing move somewhere, maybe if black does this, white does this. And now if white has some sort of forcing move, black has to respond to. And then white can take. So that's a possibility, but black doesn't have to go here. Black can just keep extending to forever. He's got strength now. There's no way his stones are going anywhere anytime soon. And anytime he wants, he can just curl back around and just take. And it's still a false eye. That eye will never be real as long as black extends. Provided he doesn't, run into his own stones or something. Same thing over here, right? Black can just do this. And this is actually really even stronger shape because there's nothing white can do. So both of these side eyes are false. Right? They're both false. There's nothing white can do to make them real. And there's nothing white can do to get 2 eyes in this situation. So this is a really great example of something that can happen in a real game. And if white's not careful, you can do this. Now, is there any way for white to live if black hane is here? Now you start getting into the whole, like, can I live sort of thing. And so if you think to yourself, well, if we play this out, and this was the critical point for my opponent, maybe I should look and see if playing there first helps me in any way. Seems reasonable, right? So we can play here and see what that would do for us and just sort of try to read it out. One of the things you want to do when you try to think about life and death is you want to try to figure out 2 ways to live, 2 different ways that your group can live. So if black takes one way away, you can shift towards the other way. And that's how you keep a group alive. So right away we can think, okay, what are the ways white can make a living shape here, right? So we can sort of gaze and say that if white has a stone here and here, white's alive. So white needs these 2 moves. Now, can white do this, right? So we can imagine if white decides to try after playing here, what can black do? Well, black can take away one of those moves, right? But does it help? Does it help? And that's what we need to ask ourselves. We can think about a move like this, and we can ask, does that work? Black pushes here. White Ataris. And we see that doesn't work. White is locked into a dead shape again. Okay, well that was the wrong move. What about here? This is a little better now, because if black tries to escape, white's like, no. He cuts him off. White has a definite eye here, and white can't take the other one away. Right? Even if white goes here, it doesn't matter. Now this group is alive. So we can see that playing at the critical point that would kill that dead shape gives your stones a better chance of being alive. And that's the sort of thing you have to run through when you're thinking about, oh, like, can a group live? Can it not live? You have to go through a bunch of different situations. You know, what if black hane's here instead? Does that change anything? We can see that if white Atari's here and black plays this move now, doesn't really change anything, right? Still got 2 eyes. What if black hane's first? Right? Still doesn't change anything because that automatically gets captured, right? So black would need to play here first, but then white can play here. So making use of that critical shape point is key in living or dying of this corner group that we see. So the bulk e5 shape is a really, really important shape to remember. If you can force your opponents into that shape and then take that critical point, then you've killed them. Okay, so let's say one more thing to note. Let's say black hane's ones, white's like, nah, you're fine. I'm totally fine here, right? Black plays here. Remember this, even though white can capture this group, it's not a real eye yet. So if white believes that this is a real eye and plays somewhere else, black can take away white's second eye. Can you see why this isn't real? If white decides to take these stones, black has one of the key techniques of life and death, and one of my favorite techniques, the throw-in. Black basically says, yeah, I know that if I hane here, you'll just do this and make your eye. But what if I throw in first? White can't really keep extending, right? He keeps being an Atari, right? But if white takes, it looks a little familiar, doesn't it? That's a false eye now. We can see that this is not real. Black can take that. And so he's turned that eye into a false eye. And then that entire group died. So taking it back to here, this is not a real eye. Even though white can capture 2 stones, it's not real because the throw-in makes that eye fake. And so that's one of the key techniques that you would need to know for life and death, is to sort of see that, oh, this isn't a real eye, this is a real eye, and figure out what the critical points in your shape are. All right, so here's another problem, and this is going to utilize the throw-in that I told you about. So it is black's move, and black wants to kill this group. What does he do? So remember the 3 tools I told you guys, right? The hane, the throw-in, and the fact that you can play in the middle of your opponent's dead shape to remove the possibility of making 2 eyes. Forget about these stones in the corner. So it's black's move. What does he do? Well, we can sort of see that white needs... How many moves does white need? White would need to make 2 eyes here. White would need to fill this in, right? Play here, and play here. So he needs 3 moves for this. So right away we can think that that might be killable. If white needs 3 moves to for sure live here, might be something we can do. So what can black do? Let's take our tools, right? We'll run through all of them first. So what if we just like plop a stone right in the middle of what looks to be the critical point in white's shape, the place where you can start making eyes? Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work. White would be able to turn this into an eye, just play there right away. If black tried to give this Atari, we can see that white can capture. And now you might think, oh, I can throw in here, right? Because if white doesn't do anything, I can capture those stones. But the problem is that doesn't help, because by playing here at J6, white is now able to make a second eye. And it doesn't even matter if black takes these, because white can just underconnect, and now he has 2 eyes right now. So we're almost there. that critical point almost works, but we need a little bit of extra power, and white needs to have a little bit less space here so he can't make that second eye. So what if we reverse the order? What if we hane first? Well, if white decides to block this way, black can try that throw-in move again, right? And now white knows that if he connects, he's dead. So what if white plays here? Now black can do a 2-stone throw-in, like we showed you. White has to take, because keep in mind, if white does anything else, black will take those stones. Also, that's an Atari on this group too, so it's an Atari everywhere. White has to take. Now black can throw in again. White takes, and that concludes the making it a false eye sequence. We can see that black can take this anytime he wants. There is only one eye for the group, and the group is dead. Well, that works that way. What if white decides to play there first? Well, we can see that that still doesn't keep it from being a false eye, right? Black can simply play here, and if white defends, it's still dead. Think about it. This is false. And if white decides to take, black can do that throw-in trick that we showed you and make that eye false too. So white has 2 false eyes at A and B, and only 1 real eye at C, which means he's dead. So we can see that by trying to look at the critical shapes and using simple tools like the hane and the throw-in can lead to some pretty cool kills and some pretty cool ways to live. What if this was white's move, and white watched this video, and he's like, I'm in trouble here. Can I do anything, right? I think we already know that this whole false eye is a problem. White can simply play here. And now, the hane doesn't work, because white now has 4 spaces in a row, which means no matter which one black takes, white will take the other and create 2 eyes. But if it's black's move, this is fair game to kill. So white cannot tanuki from this situation. Now let's think about this problem. And just a disclaimer, these are all the free problems from Sumego Pro, the few problems that I took. Definitely get that app if you want to look at more life and death. But these are all of the free ones that come with the demo version of the free app. So, moving on, it's black's turn, and he wants to kill these white stones. Now keep in mind, this is high stakes, right? If black doesn't kill these stones, that means all of these stones are dead. They're completely surrounded by white stones. So black, it's a kill or be kill situation for black. Can he do it? Answer is he can. So right away, what are sort of the steps that we take, right? We sort of look at this group and we're like, okay, how many moves does it take to create 2 eyes for this group? Well, if black doesn't do anything, we can see that if white plays here and doesn't do anything, and white plays here, it's alive, which means it takes 2 moves. Might be able to do something. And this is a situation when another key part of life and death is using forcing moves. By forcing moves, I mean if you can give an Atari that removes a liberty at the same time, something your opponent has to respond to, that will drastically help your life and death. In this case, there's a move that both strikes at the critical point of white's shape and is a forcing move at the same time. Can you find it? Turns out, that's the move that kills it. Now, this is an Atari on these stones, which means white can't just ignore, because then he gets taken, and there's no way white can make 2 eyes in this situation now. So white has to take it. But now we removed that eye, because white was forced to take that space. Now black can curl around, and white is forced into a situation with only 1 eye. Almost like magic, right? But yes, we can see that the forcing move here was able to give us the leverage that we needed to pop out that second eye. And so now we have another tool in our arsenal, right? Giving Ataris, giving forcing moves. So we've got hanes, we've got the throw-ins, we've got forcing moves, and we've got looking at your opponent's shape and trying to find the point he needs to play to make 2 eyes and filling that point in yourself. Oftentimes the order is very important. For instance, if we tried to do this now and white played here and black's like, ha, I still took out your eyes, right? Still is only 1 eye. Oh, we forgot about these stones, right? Black can't give this Atari because he gets taken immediately, which means he needs 1 more move here. White can take another liberty, and this Atari is too late because now white takes those 3 stones and black couldn't save them. So we can see that even though some moves might still do the job, some of them might be too slow. And so you would need to find, oh, I need this forcing move to protect these guys, to force white here, then goes here. Now if white plays here, this is an Atari, and black can take no problem. And so this is what makes life and death really hard. Like, not only do you have to figure out how to kill your opponent, but you have to, a lot of times, figure out how to kill him before he kills you. Because you're trying to kill something, a lot of times there's cutting groups, and there's other things in danger. But going through these tools, the hane, the throw-in, striking at the critical point, and forcing moves, will definitely help figure out where to start looking in your life and death. How to create false eyes, how to remove eyes of your opponents. And with enough practice, you should be able to become a pro at it. Just keep working the life and death problems. Keep trying to look at different shapes and different problems to further your study, and it will be less of a mystery. Soon you'll be killing corners yourself, and it'll feel awesome. Believe me, killing a corner is great. So that was my little introduction to life and death for beginners. I hope that it helped. I didn't want to get too into detail because this can get really overwhelming really fast. And so I just want to get your feet wet, showing you some cool little techniques, places to start looking in your shapes. I hope this helped, and definitely let me know if it helped or not in the comments below, and best of luck in your games. Hope to see you guys on the grid.